last night for the first time since rupturing his Achilles in Game 4 of the East semifinals last season. However, his 24 points last night in his return, not enough to overcome a 15-point fourth quarter from Josh Hart that propelled the Knicks to a 112-106 win, which keeps New York as a 3 seed in the East and sets up a potential semifinal playoff matchup between the teams. Knicks finished 3-1 against the Celtics this season, just the second time in the last 10 seasons that New York beat Boston 3 times in a season. The other one obviously coming 2022, 2023. And a major factor in all of this has been three-point shooting, as the Knicks have shot 41% from three compared to Boston's 30% behind the arc. I'm still struggling.
I know you need some water or something.
I'm just like, it's stuck in my tooth right now. And I was really, really trying to get through that without stopping. Yeah, exactly. Chocolate would melt. David, who would have the edge in a potential playoff rematch here? Would it be the Knicks or the Celtics?
It would be the Celtics. I don't think the gap is as wide as we thought it was last season, but I still think the Celtics are favorites here because you can't overstate what happened without Jaylen Brown last night. I think one of the benefits for the Celtics is Jason Tatum learned firsthand what his capabilities are and what the extent of those capabilities are, which is he cannot carry that Celtics team offensively yet in the way that he could in the past. When you look at the end of that game, we trying to tie the game up, he drives on Karl Anthony Towns, just does not have the legs to finish that shot, which kind of helps Jason Tatum further understand where he is as a second option, which is a guy who can get the rebounds, who can get the assists, and then allow Jaylen Brown to come in and be the MVP that he usually is. And I think when Brown back in the lineup, being a two-way defender also can help them defend some of those actions that the Knicks did down the stretch. I think this is going to be a long series, but I will favor the Celtics to win this series.
Perk, you look annoyed. I don't know whether it's just you're still marinating on David's candy take, but what's the reaction?
No. Because he's tripping right now. He's talking about last night proved to us that Jason Tatum can't carry a team. Did we not see about 10 to 14 days ago when he walked into Charlotte and handed them an L? I believe he had a 32-piece wing dinner, all flats, without Jaylen Brown, no Derek White, and got that win. I mean, what are you talking about, bro? He had an off shooting night. His mental was all over the place. I have to remind you, David, that this was the same arena that he tore his Achilles on. So all this comes into play as he's walking into Madison Square Garden. But you know the thing that stood out to me is the other areas. Forget that he didn't shoot the ball well. The 13 rebounds, the 8 assists. Like, those are the other things. If he didn't have his legs, he's damn sure not going up there and going to get 13 boards. And again, Courtney highlighted it when we started. She said how many double-doubles he's had this year since he's returned?
10.
Is it 10?
10 in 16 games.
I mean, what else can you ask? I agree. I agree. He is going to be the Robin to Jaylen Brown. I do still give the edge to the Boston Celtics. If they match up or when they match up in the postseason, I believe that the series is going to go 7 games. But the Celtics have home court advantage, and we know how hard it is to win in Boston. And with Jaylen Brown playing at the level that he's playing at right now, I just still give the edge to the Boston Celtics. Plus, they still have the most championship experience out of all the teams in the Eastern Conference.
Perk, you know I love you, big dog. I'm gonna get on you about this well-done steak stuff. I'm gonna introduce you to. I'm gonna introduce you to some real good steak. If I'm gonna get you like a piece of charcoal, we can just find that outside on 7th Avenue in New York and not pay $80 for it. That's a whole different thing. You talked about going into Boston and winning the game. The Knicks did that twice last year. Games 1 and 2 coming back from 20-point deficits. Oh. I am a fan of rivalries. I like teams that will have to see each other year after year with a similar core, similar stories. Okay, we're changing coaches, and the Knicks' identity has changed a little bit, but they can locate and find some of that grit that they played with last year. I don't think the gap is as wide, and I think Jason Tatum overcame a hurdle last night in some ways in playing in Madison Square Garden, but he was a minus 16. He did have 6 turnovers. He was hounded by Josh Hart for a decent stretch of the game. And Nikola Vucevic is a defensive liability, which is why Josh Hart nailed 2 threes in his eye late in the game. Like, these are matchup series. So I don't think just adding Jaylen Brown tilts it so far away from the New York Knicks that it becomes an obvious win for them. The Knicks don't have any fear of the Boston Celtics. Whatever mental thing that could have happened, they beat them last year when we thought the Celtics were a 60-win juggernaut going into that series. I didn't give the Knicks much of a chance. I was wrong. I think this season you're going to see a 7-game bloodbath between these two evenly matched teams, and the Knicks, shockingly, if you're going to say something, the Knicks do have Jalen Brunson, who's a clutch player. You do have a matchup problem, and not just Mitchell Robinson, but also Karl-Anthony Towns, if you want to play both. I don't know if you trust the Knicks bigs the Celtics bigs the way that you trust the Knicks bigs if they are playing to full potential.
Everybody's throwing up hands here. You've had yours hanging up. Your blood's probably flowing down. Perk, I know you're throwing yours up too. What perturbed you about that?
Well, I just want Vinny to answer the question. I mean, who has the edge in this matchup? You still haven't
You
answered
said 7-game bloodbath, Vinny, between
No,
Knicks
I
and
said, no, I'm not straddling the fence. Perk, hear me and hear me clearly. I think the Celtics are the best team in the East. I don't think that guarantees that they will beat the Knicks in a 7-game series in round 2. I think most of these series in round 2 are going to be pick-em series with the exception of whoever plays Oklahoma City. They're going to go either way. That's parity in the NBA. I don't think the gap is as wide. I don't think the Celtics are some unbeatable. I said the Celtics have the edge, Perk. I said the Celtics have the edge. But when you're talking about
I'm just telling you. Listen to me. This is your first year on First Take. It is rules on First Take. It's no straddling the fence. I just needed you to be clear on what side and who were you picking to have the edge. David or myself, nobody said that it was a big gap between the two. That's why the question is who has the edge. Now, this is what I will tell you. You're talking about Vucevic being a liability, right? I don't think you've been watching Cater this season and what he's been for the Boston Celtics. A rebounding machine. He's top 15 in the league in block shots. He's been a lob threat, very high IQ big, 7'1", 7'2", a better version of me than Robert Williams. So I would be careful when you talk about the matchup and if Mitchell Robinson could come in and dominate, because Vucevic is probably in that series is going to be coming in off the bench, and Cater is going to be eating up majority of those minutes.
I want to get you in here. You've literally had your hand up for a while.
I'm just saying, Perk said I was tripping and agree with everything I said, which was the Celtics was going to win in 7, that Jason Tatum was going to be Robin to Jaylen Brown's Batman. I think the issue when you get back to the Tatum of it all is that he cannot put up that game that he had against the Hornets a couple weeks ago. That is not going to be a consistent Jason Tatum. If we get a Jason Tatum that does all those other things we talked about, get the passes to the open guy, because he's getting the passes to the wide open corner guy more than anybody else on that team. Derek White got to hit some of those shots, though. Derek White's on only 40% since All-Star break on wide open threes, and he was missing a bunch of open threes last night. He's got to get those shots. When we talk about those bigs, I understand that Cater has been outplaying what we expected from him, but it's playoff time, and I think last night showed there is a difference between Cater and Mitchell Robinson in terms of difference makers coming in the game. So I do have questions about those bigs, especially if we're putting some of those bigs into action with Karl-Anthony Towns and Brunson in that 2-man game, because one thing we know is that Karl-Anthony Towns will feast on that when there's a center out there, especially a younger center. So I do have some worries about those bigs, but overall, I do agree, 7 games, but at home, that crowd in Boston, Jaylen Brown being an MVP, Jason Tatum doing all of the intangible things, and you have that experience of the Celtics, I do think it'll be Celtics in 7 against the Knicks.
Like he brought up Cater. Cater played last night, and they closed with Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah.
Derek White was 0-6 from 3. You got a lot of threes from Baylor Shireman and Peyton Pritchard. Are you going to get those type of performances consistently in a 7-game series? That's all. There's just questions. I'm with you guys. We're all on the same page.
Yeah, literally
here.
all three of you picked
We're all on the
Boston
same
here.
page here. Perk is not listening sometimes. Clean out your ears, big fella. Just get a Q-tip.
I'm listening. I'm always listening. And listen, Vinny, I may talk slow, but I'm not slow. Here's the thing that I'm gonna tell you. We all agree on this, that role players play better at home, right? Last night, the Knicks were at home. So Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart, they played better at the crib, right? This is another thing I want to ask you and David. Don't the matchup on the sideline matters as well? When you're talking about Mike Brown and Joe Mazzulla, who are you guys taking?
So I
know who I'm taking. I'm taking the one that got a championship. Joe Mazzulla.
I like this chess match that we have between the two. I think it's an even matchup coaching-wise. Mike Brown does not have a head coaching championship, but you got to remember, he coached that Warriors team in the finals when Steve Kerr was out. He was basically the head coach for most of that time, and they are playing chess when it comes to Mike Brown offensively and Mazzulla defensively. I think these coaches are neck and neck, and we are undervaluing Mike Brown a little bit too much.
All right, real quick, Vinny.
No, I agree. I think Joe Mazzulla is a fantastic coach outside of all the tricky things and everything else. And I think Mike Brown has learned this team as this season has gone on. I don't think he's being overmatched on the sideline.
Okay, we'll leave it here. Victor Wembanyama has looked unstoppable this season. Perk,